Welcome to the Her Voice Shines podcast, where we celebrate the power, brilliance, and resilience of women everywhere. I'm your host, Shanasia Washington. Join us as we share inspiring stories and insights from extraordinary women who have found their voice and are making a difference. Together, we'll create a ripple effect, illuminating the path to visibility and empowerment. Let's break barriers, shatter ceilings, and lift each other up. In each episode, we dive deep into the journeys of women who have turned their challenges into triumphs and their dreams into reality. Whether you're looking for motivation, guidance, or a community that understands your journey, you're in the right place. Stay tuned and remember, let your voice shine. Well, you know where you landed. You landed at the Her Voice Shines podcast. I'm your fabulous host, Shanasia Washington, streaming from none other than Houston, Texas. And man, we're going to hit the 90s today. It's going to be a scorching summer. But guess what? I am in a very good mood, very high spirits. So happy to meet this next guest. So you know the drill. We don't waste a lot of time. She comes to the stage, tells us her name, where she's streaming from, and then we get the magic of the story without any further waiting time. Here's my very beautiful guest for today.
Hello. Thank you for having me. My name is Sally Bisbee. I am streaming from Minnesota, so much different weather than Houston, Texas. Although it's going to be 70 and sunny here today, so it is a perfect day here. A little bit about me. I am an entrepreneur. I own 3 businesses right now, which is usually greeted from other people like, "Oh my goodness." And that's the right reaction. It's a lot, but I love what I do. I've been an entrepreneur for the last 11 years. 11 years ago, I started a custom craft business. So anything that you can put words on, basically, I can do. I make cups, signs, shirts, birthday shirts, shirts with company logos, Mother's Day gifts, teacher gifts, all sorts of things. And I started that 11 years ago, and I've been just growing it very organically. Word of mouth, repeat customers, Facebook. I don't do any marketing, any Etsy, just people spreading my name naturally, which is a super awesome thing. For the last 8 years, I ran an in-home daycare. I have 3 kids. My oldest actually is graduating from college this weekend, and my little 2 are 6 and 9. And when my son was born, my middle one, I decided to leave corporate, stay home to do daycare. And so for the last 8 years, I ran an in-home daycare, which was awesome. Certainly some trials, right? But got to be home with my kids and be the one to raise them. And this past fall, my youngest went off to kindergarten, which was a day that I've been waiting for a long time. I've been a mom for 22 years, so I love my kids, but just that first time in a long time being home during the day with no kids is amazing. And so this past fall, I started 2 more businesses. One is a home organizing business, so going in and helping people get their pantries, their closets, their garages, everything organized. But my second one, that I started in the fall, which is my 3rd company, but the one that I'm really passionate is my coaching business, Simply Sally Coaching, which is where I coach moms, really just overwhelmed moms in the throes of motherhood, just really help them navigate the stresses of motherhood. We know as moms that we take everything on, that our needs often get pushed to the back burner. And it's something I've struggled with myself being a mom. And I've been every type of mom. I always tell people like I was a single mom for 11 years, then got married. My husband adopted my daughter. We had 2 more kids. I've been single mom, married mom, work out of the house mom, work from home mom, run my own business mom, and just kind of done all the things. And each stage of parenting brings a different set of obstacles, right? And so I decided to start this coaching business out of a passion for helping other moms just live a more stress-free life and reminding moms that we are more than just a mom. A mom is a huge part of who we are, but it is not all of who we are. And so I really help moms just simplify their life. I help moms create routines and habits and things to streamline their life, to take the stress out of motherhood, and really just come alongside moms to give them more time back in their day to focus on them, to be the present mom that they want to be, and just to give them that permission to take care of themselves and help just promote the fact that when we take better care of ourselves, we show up as a better mom, as a better wife, as a better friend, all those things. And so really just helping moms remember to, take care of themselves. So that is a little bit about me.
Oh, I love it. And I know I was bragging in the beginning, saying, oh, it's going to hit 90 degrees, but I will take the Minnesota 70.
It's
So,
okay.
first off,
It's good.
you may be I know on the other side of this, I had a lady from Minnesota, but you may be my first Minnesota guest on the podcast. So,
Well, how exciting.
to think about it a little bit, but that was a great segment. I put out a couple things like said, it's like, oh, I got this child that's graduating college, and I got this little bitty baby. So I've been in the crux of mothering for a very, very long time. I have a lot of friends who have 20-year-olds and I have 2-year-olds, and I honestly just could not imagine. So I'm already giving you your kudos. I only have one son. He's 7 years old. He's going to be 8. He's partially homeschooled. When I say partially, I mean that I do have assistants 3 days out of a week, like a learning coach who takes him offsite and different things with him. So it's a good balance, for me being in the entrepreneur space. But on Mondays and Fridays, and even some of those days, he's here and I'm figuring it out and how to do it. So
yes,
that segment was very powerful for me because it's a thing, right? When moms have to stay home and do other things. I think people were like, oh, it's just like a walk in the park.
No,
oh my God. Let me just say
total opposite.
I left corporate in 2021, and it was mid pandemic and everything. And at that time, he was like 3 or so, I think. And it was very fascinating to see how he learned, and I got to see his habits, and just kind of get to see the core of him. But let me just tell you, Sally, there was days I was wishing I was back in corporate.
A lot of days when I did daycare, my parents would drop off, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know how you do this every day." And I'm like, "I wish I had a job to go to like you guys do a lot of days too." I'm like, "I love it. It afforded me to be home with my kids and still bring in an income, but there is something amazing about kids being off and giving you that break to, me having my youngest at school right now is like, I get to just be me during the day, right? I get to focus on my dreams and the stuff that I want. And then when they come home, I get to pour into them, which is an amazing thing.
And I think it's beautiful that you've built these businesses while raising 3 kids, right? Because I think sometimes that's a blocker for some women. You probably see this, in your coaching. So tell me about the internal belief. We know you wanted to do it because I want to be home with my kids, but there's also some kind of an internal belief system that Sally has to believe that she can do it. So can you talk to us in that space?
For sure. I mean, there has to be a belief, right? I mean, that's the biggest thing. But, my thing is I've taken a lot of classes. I have a coach. I've watched all sorts of things. And one of the big things I see is, people say all the time, if she can do it, so can I. There are a lot of successful women, mom entrepreneurs that are figuring it out, right? And a lot of it is just figuring it out as you go. Do I have a great balance always? No. Like last night I worked till 9 o'clock at night, and that's not my ideal or an everyday thing. But there is just that balance. And I think if it's, something as an entrepreneur, that if that's something that you want as to become an entrepreneur, the only way you're going to figure out is if you try, right? And I always tell people like, I don't have a plan B. This is my plan and I will make it work. And sure, there's ups and downs with being an entrepreneur. There's lots of ups and downs. I was blessed in the fact that my dad was an entrepreneur. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. And so I got to see pretty firsthand. He had a very successful business, but there was a lot of waves, right? Really good months and not so good months. And just seeing, how being an entrepreneur is. And it tests your stress level a little bit now and then, but it's, for me, it's chasing a dream that I've had for a long time. And also I worked in corporate for a while, and while I loved some of my coworkers, like I love working for myself. It makes me happy, and it makes you, pouring into something of your own passion. It just is so much easier to work every day.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for me, because I stayed in corporate for 13 years in financial services, I had like a new role every year and a half. It was always constantly changing, did everything from customer service to risk management to project. It was a lot of different things. But
Sure.
even with that, you was thinking that, you're constantly moving, you're constantly growing. But what I found was that there was like this new sense of identity as it just relates to getting information.
Yeah.
When I became an entrepreneur, I didn't realize how boxed, like even though I was climbing the ladder, there was still something very boxy, I think, that started to conform basically. You know what I mean? Like I started to conform to that way of thinking. And then when I got out here, I was like, oh my, it's like a whole world of it's a whole world that I didn't even know existed. There's different levels of information. So that was very freeing for me. So now, I get to read a lot more. I get to, interact with so many different people. And that is the part of the freedom that keeps me fuel for the ride. Now, let me
For
ask you
sure.
this, because since you've been close to your kids, and I'm always conscious about this, what do you think your kids have picked up from seeing you run this business? Because, like, I do a lot of different things, and then like, my son will say something, and then, like, you go back and forth, like, oh my gosh, I hope I'm pouring enough. I hope I'm doing enough. And then he'll say this one thing, Sally, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's in the corner cheering, like, yeah,
Yes, he's getting it. He's
like,
getting it.
yes. What do you think? What do you think your kids have picked up from you from running your life and business this way?
For sure. It's fun because I'll talk to, I have a gap. So my kids are 22, 9, and 6. And so my 22-year-old, clearly she will constantly, "Mom, I'm so proud of you. Like I just love seeing you doing what you love, and I'm so proud that you know, took this leap and are doing this." And a lot of the point of me running my own businesses for the last 11 years is so that I can also be home and be present for my kids. It's always been something that's been super important to me. I want that flexibility that, we're at end of school year right now where my kids have track and field day and kindergarten graduation and all those things. And I want the ability to be able to go in and be there for those things without feeling bad about leaving work for the day. And so, it's fun to just hear from her, like how proud she is of me for taking all the risks and pouring into these dreams that I love. And then my little two, we talk a lot about, summer coming up. This will be our first summer that, I'm home with my little two, not doing daycare. We've always been home, but I've had daycare kids. And so they knew that that was what it was. And so this summer we talk about just finding that balance of mom still has to work, but we're still going to go do lots of fun things and just them seeing that, I'm pouring into this business, but I'm doing it a lot so that I can also be home and be present for them and also just seeing that even though I'm a mom, like I still get to chase after my own dreams and that I didn't have to wait until they were all 18 and out of the house and all that. So I love just setting that example for my kids that like you you can be whatever you want to be. And if going into corporate is your dream and what you want to do, then all the power to you. But I think that, I love now raising kids knowing that there is a world of possibilities and that, you aren't constricted. I mean, I went to college, I have a degree, all that stuff. My degree is in psychology, so it's very much along the lines of coaching and what I use and wanting to just help people better their lives. But I just love being able to show my kids like you can go get a degree and it's great, but also you can do pretty much anything you want if you set your mind to it and make it happen. And it's up to you how you navigate and steward your life. And I love just being able to show them that.
That is so good. I mean, and I really, no, I'm serious. I really, really love that because when I meet someone who's, kind of on a similar path with me with the kids at home, this is why this podcast exists really for me too, because I
Yeah.
get these deposits back in because you wonder, you have these psychological things like, I mean, is it enough? Have I done, I honestly go through that, and I just have, of course, the one child. And he'll say certain things, and I'm like, and I told you this, before we went to this segment, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm literally like, ooh, it's not as bad as I think. He's actually picking up some of those things. It's
Yeah.
similar to what you said about your, child in that experience. He's like, Mom, you're so brave. I'm like, well,
Oh,
not. Well, thank you. And it just really made my heart feel. Because he'll see me do it and he'll try it, and I say, well, that didn't go so well, so I'm gonna fix it. I'll just have the conversation with them, not to where it's
sure.
just not appropriate for a 7-year-old, but a real honest conversation saying that, oh, well, I didn't think that went so well, so I'm trying X, Y, and Z to fix it. or just leave it by the wayside totally. So I think
Yes.
the fact that we're able to do that and share that space with our kids is something that I don't take for granted. It is one of the I asked for it at the end of when I got ready to leave. I got to working like 60 hours in 1 week in corporate. And I had a tiny baby, and I can
Mm.
remember one day telling I just guess the emotion just got too high. I literally spent my entire commute takes about an hour in the Houston traffic to get home. And I bawled the entire
Aw.
time home because I had been away. I'm like, I left home at 6:40 this morning. I'm
Yeah.
looking at my clock in my car at 7:15 p.m. And I'm just now making the commute back to my child. And I
Mm.
asked and prayed in that moment that this has to change.
Yes.
Something has to give. Like I am very grateful for the opportunity. I am not complaining horribly about my situation because I'm not a complainer. But what I'm asking for right now is for something to change.
Yes.
I have to get closer to my child.
Yes, and it's such a huge thing, and I think, I'm blessed with being afforded the viewpoint of how fast life really goes, right? Having that 22-year-old and now having little kids. There's good and bad, right? There's good of like, ooh, these hard stages, they'll fly by, right? We make them through. Each stage is different, and you're like, okay, like she's 22, so my 6-year-old who's a handful sometimes, like we'll get through this stage, but also it makes me stop and be that present mom too, because I just think, like it flies by in a blink of an eye, and you working 12-hour days when you've got a baby at home, like you only have a baby for so long, right? You want to be there and soak that all up while you have it.
Oh
So
my
it's so
gosh.
important.
It is. Now, I did see in the form you talked about prioritizing yourself. And I want you to talk about this because there are many moms that are watching or maybe trying to start different things, working 12 hours, just wherever they are in their journey. How do you prioritize yourself? Because guess what, Sally? There are a lot of moms and just women that do not know how to do that.
Hmm.
How do you prioritize yourself?
Yeah. So it's funny, just kind of thinking about along the lines of asking about the example about the kids too. I think, I look back at like how I was raised. Amazing parents. My parents have been married for 48 years, have an awesome relationship, great, great upbringing. But my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And so my mom did a lot of the, taking care of us kids and the housework and all that stuff. And I think that one of the big things back to working and showing our kids is that, one of the things my husband and I really work on is equal, right? Equal parenting, equal housework. Like how do we like yes, I'm home with the kids, but I'm running 3 businesses, so I am also working. And so divvying that up and showing my kids, showing my girls that like you can go and work and have a successful career, and showing my son for his future wife, like your wife's going to be able to go work and you got to divvy that up. And so I think for us women, prioritizing ourselves is hard, right? Because we constantly feel like we need to take care of everybody else and their needs first. And it's just the way that we've been raised. Society tells us that, you know, you're not a good mom unless you put everyone's needs first and all that stuff. And so again, that's one of those things I work with my clients is reminding them like, no, the way you actually are a good mom is by taking care of your needs first so that you're a better mom and you can show up and all those stuff. And so, I always tell people, I'm like, start small. Find 10 minutes a day to schedule something in just for yourself, whether that be a walk or reading a book or, whatever it be that you might enjoy, and then schedule it in like you would a meeting. If you have a doctor's appointment, you're not going to skip it, right? It's on your calendar, you're going to go. And so it's the same thing with prioritizing our own needs, that it just has to become something that becomes a non-negotiable. For me, it was a few years ago. Really, I always tell people my kids were like 2, 5, and 17. I was waking up every day, like feeling crazy overwhelmed, like, oh my goodness, I just woke up and I'm already behind for the day. And in my mind, I was like, something's got to give. Like, I can't keep living this way. And I knew that what I needed to do was recenter myself. Essentially, I always tell people I created what in my mind was called Operation Happy. I was like, I'm going to make a list of the things that make me happy. And I'm going to figure out how to get more of those in my life. Um, and so, sometimes it's as simple as that. Start a list in your phone of things that you can do that will refresh you, make you happy. A big thing for me, like I'm super outgoing. I thrive around being around other people. So I make it a point to go to dinner once a week with a girlfriend. That's super important to me. I also try to tell myself, believe me, my husband is amazing. He doesn't feel an ounce of guilt when he leaves to fish or hunt or do any of his things, as he shouldn't. It's part of life, and you get to do that. And I'm like, okay, why do I feel guilty when I need to just take a moment for myself? He doesn't feel guilty, but us as moms, we always feel guilty, and so just about remembering that we deserve that. And also, I want to be that example to my kids, again, to my girls, so that they know when they're a mom that they need to keep taking that time for themselves, but also to my son so that when he has a wife that he makes sure that he helps encourage her and make sure that she takes that time for herself too. I think as moms we're always gonna pour into our kids and our family and all those things, but I just the older I get, the more I know that the more I take care of myself, the better I show up for my kids and my husband and my friends, and that's really important to me.
Mm, that is so good. You know what I like most about that segment was that happy list. Really going through to say these are the things that truly make me happy, because sometimes we get in routine. At least there was definitely a period where I was just in routine. I just did what I knew how to do to keep the ship running.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the end of it, you're like, oh, well, that didn't feel good, or or that wasn't probably the way. What is it that you really want, and what is it that you really thrive on? It wasn't until I started having those intimate times with myself that things really started to shift for me. Like my well-being, my view of the world. And I mean, they seem like very simple things. And I know you will probably explore this more with people that you coach, but they seem like very, very simple things, but they have really the power to change so much.
Yes.
And when it comes to podcasts, people are like, you just seem to naturally do this podcast. I was like, because I've done so much internal self-work to get here first, that these conversations are really therapeutic for me. They are a space where my guests can feel natural and really just talk about anything, but it's a place that I work very, very hard to create, not just aesthetics, branding, but internal work that shows up that people have no idea that I've done for years and years and years, Sally. So thank you for sharing that. So if you guys are watching, I'm hoping that you really caught that, because that fell in my spirit, the happy list. Really defining what makes you happy. I don't care if you say, I want to get up in the morning and just sit on my porch, and that particular moment brings me happiness. Whatever it looks like, put it on paper and really start to get that really in your spirit. Let me ask you this, because I noticed that when you had the crafting business, it was more, you said it was kind of like word of mouth. You just did such a good job, and people came. Tell me about it as you've kind of switched over to coaching and maybe even the home organization. What has been different, and maybe building clientele around that, or any strategies? Because one of the things about it, and I have my podcast, but I do other types of services. I've had to kind of do different ticks for different parts of it. So can you talk about that? Because I know this is the transition from just having natural clientele from word of mouth, and then transitioning to now building a coaching business.
Yeah, for sure. It's a different thing, and it's funny because I look back when I started my crafting business, I honestly did it as something to keep me busy. It wasn't ever about the money. It was something I loved, I was good at, and I'm one of those people who, like, I look at something and I'm like, "Oh, I could pay $100 for that, or I could make it for 20." I was like, "I'm just gonna make it myself." And so it kinda started with that, and making stuff and gifting stuff, and then just naturally built, and now I run a pretty successful, crafting business, which is awesome. And so it's a little different strategy with the coaching because it is now that with crafting, it was always a side business. Like, I ran my daycare full time, that was my full-time income, but I had my crafting there, and now it's the crafting is still there, but it's not enough. It's not a full-time income. And so with the coaching and the organizing, I have to be more strategic about it. And so I do different things. It's really about starting conversations, right? Letting people know who you are and what you do, and just getting your name out there. Coming on podcasts like this is always so fun. I love just having conversations with people, but just to share what I do. Um, I also try to host workshops every once in a while, free workshops, just to bring people into my world to get to let them experience me a little bit, hear about what I do, and to be able to share the power of that coaching can really change your life. I know a lot of people are resistant to coaching, and us as moms, we're resistant to asking for help. But I always tell moms, like, the most selfless thing you can do is ask for help and have somebody come alongside you to really just walk alongside you, hold you accountable, give you that permission to make those changes in your life is such a powerful thing. So, really just getting out and, sharing with people what I do because a lot of people, honestly, I didn't know about coaching until about 2 years ago when I came across it one night scrolling through my phone and I was like, that's what I want to do. I have a degree in psychology. My whole life goal has been to help people. Like, I just love helping make people's lives better. And, my life is chaotic to say the least in the sense of having 3 kids and 3 businesses and sports, and my husband is an avid fisherman and hunter and stuff, and he's gone a lot. And yet I still have a lot of just calm and peace in my life because of all the systems and routines and stuff I put in my life, and all the unnecessary stuff I've gotten rid of out of my life, which is now what I help people do through my coaching, which is so fun to just be able to, have those conversations with people and tell them what I do and how I help people.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Beautiful, beautiful segment. When I think about like this entire, this entire journey, we have a lot of parallels. And just how you were scrolling on the phone and say, "Well, I found coaching." That's exactly how. that's
I
exactly,
love it.
that's exactly how I found out. I was literally something scrolling on Instagram, and there's this lady appeared on my screen, and she was saying that she was a business coach, and this. I'm like, coaching, like, what is this? So, like, I go and start doing mad research and figuring out. I was like, well, I've kind of been naturally coaching like all my life, so is this like a thing?
Yeah.
It was really like that's why I told you, like, being in corporate and just having that tunnel vision, not even knowing that there's so many different inputs to the world. That's
Yes.
exactly how I found out about coaching, and I do some form of it, around voice and visibility, and it's really it really also too shows me my strides, right? Because believe it or not, after the podcast, Sally, I'm just like a bookworm. I'm like I don't talk much in social settings. People are so surprised by that. Like if you were to meet me in a social setting, you will get that if you're at the table with me, right? But if you were just in the room, it's just a girl at the table. Like she doesn't have to be in front of the room and things of that sort. But when I started to understand how to strategically use my voice, it doesn't have to be like loud and boastful, this, that, and the third. That particular part of coaching is like, okay, that is what you can point to the world. Everything that you've been through and how you positioned yourself to get to this version of you is really something valuable and that can help people. I want to make sure we have a clear segment. We've already talked about the coaching services, but I know there's so many women that watch this podcast. I just want to have a clear segment that gives an overarching goal of your coaching program, a little bit of maybe how you work with them. Is it a one-time thing? Is it a 6-month program? And then also too, how they can connect with you. So I'll turn it over to you for that.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. So for my coaching, I have a couple different options. My most popular main one I do is my 6-week signature program called the Simplify Method. It's a 6-week one-on-one coaching. We meet for 45 minutes each week for 6 weeks through Zoom, so I can help people anywhere. And I walk moms through my signature framework. It's kind of a step-by-step method that really helps helps moms take a look at their life and really figure out where is their time going? What does their life look like right now? What do they want their life to look like? What are the things that are causing overwhelm? What are simple systems and habits you can create? And then just being that person to be there and hold you accountable. I know for me, like, I'm a to-do list person. I create to-do lists, right? But they don't if there's no like end date that they have to be done by, they're so easy to push off. If it's something for myself, it's really easy to push off, right? And so it's just so fun being able to come alongside other moms and help them just talk through things. And also one of my favorite coaching clients, one of the things that when we still keep in touch and we will chit chat, and she's like, one of my favorite things about you is that you just gave me the permission I needed, right? The permission I needed to make the changes and take care of myself, and really helping moms figure out how to prioritize themselves and reminding moms that they are more than just a mom. I always tell people, like, being a mom was my life goal. That's all I wanted. I accomplished it really early. I had my daughter at 22, which wasn't the plan, but Best thing that ever happened to me. Um, but I think, my journey through motherhood was, different than a lot because I was young and had her 22 and single and then got married and had a couple more and just, always, but it is so easy to get lost as a mom. And I think there's so many moms that put off dreams or just taking care of themselves until the kids are out of the house, right? And so I just love being able to come alongside moms and be like, you don't have to wait and you shouldn't wait until the kids are out of the house. You should, let's figure out and work together. Like I was talking about decluttering your life. My organizing business and my coaching business really kind of go hand in hand, but decluttering your life isn't always about just the physical stuff. It's about the extra stuff that you have in your life that you probably don't need, extra schedule commitments, things that you're saying yes to that maybe don't make you happy, back to that happy part. Again, working with moms to figure out like what are those things that make you happy and how can we incorporate more of them in your life? Because when you are taking care of yourself, again, like I've said, but you show up better all over as a person. So my website is simplysallyco.com. I am also on Facebook and Instagram, Simply Sally Coaching. My other two businesses are Simply Sally Creations and Simply Sally Organizing.
Thank you. And when you said that, sometimes people will wait till their kids are out the house to do those things that, make them happy, it triggers something because I think I'm of like an era, I really like a community because I've heard it several times when I was growing up and even still now that I'll live through my children. I want you not to live through your children, but alongside with them, with their own unique paths and journeys, because I hear that often. And that was also too, I remember it takes me back to when I was pregnant with my son. I used to write letters to him while he was in the womb. And I would tell him how I was feeling that day. I had like a lot of stress at days. I would tell him probably have at least about 20 of those during my pregnancy. And there was one particular letter, Sally, that I wrote to him. And I was declaring all these great things over him to walk in dominion, to be powerful, to tell the world his story, to never be afraid of who he is, and all these different things. I was telling him I had a long laundry list, but I got to about maybe 8 or 9 on that list, and I realized that I had not done that for myself.
Yeah.
And I had declared all those things over him. And I said, well, what is the best thing to do to be a living example? To be a living example of that for him. Yes. So I want to thank you for doing that, because that's what you've done. You've been that living example, and that triggered when you said that, typically people wait, and it is a very true thing. So moms, if you're watching, we know that you love your children, and we two moms right here that love our babies. Mm-hmm. But I think the message is you too have a story, you too have a journey. What makes you happy matters. Your dreams matter, and those can exist in a world where your children's dreams exist too. Mm-hmm. That's all I want to say there. So Thank you so much for sharing this, Sally. That meant a lot. Now, this is the part of the show we're going to play rapid fire. Okay, I got 10 questions over here that I prepared before we came, and you get a word or two or maybe a sentence. But these are just rapid fire thoughts, and we're going to kick it off with the first one. Coffee or tea to get you through your workday?
Neither. I know. Natural energy.
I said she's probably gonna say, I promise you. I said she's probably gonna say neither.
I'm straight water all day. I got a lot of natural energy. So
I love that. Yeah. One word to describe your mornings.
Happy.
Good. Favorite times of the day to get creative?
Mornings.
Me too. In the mornings, I try to get right into it and get those fresh ideas.
Fresh, right?
Fresh. Business tool that you cannot live without. Your favorite business tool right now?
My calendar or my to-do list in my phone. Probably my to-do list in my phone.
Okay, yeah.
I live by that.
Yeah, because you told me you like to write it down in your task base. So I love
very
that.
Type A. Very type A.
The best, this is a very broad one, but just the best advice you've received.
Take messy action. That's one of my things is stop trying to be perfect and take messy action. I think as an entrepreneur, we try so hard to I got to know everything and have it right? But take messy action and start versus waiting.
Your superpower as a mompreneur?
Find a balance between it all. I don't know if I have a superpower, but hey, I'm here and my kids are still alive and breathing and happy, so we're good with that.
The last book or podcast that may have inspired you?
The Girl Wash Your Face. That's the last book that I read, which Rachel Hollis, I think.
Okay, I like the title. This kind of catchy.
Yeah, it's a lot about self-care and really just taking care of yourself and putting yourself first. And I'm not a big book reader, but one of my girlfriends read it and was like, you need to read this. It's literally what you teach women. So.
And this is an excellent segue to this question, because the next one was one thing that you do weekly that fills your cup.
Going out with girlfriends. For me, that is my getting that break away from home and family and refreshing myself by being around people I love.
Something that your kids may say about you and your work and your journey that makes you smile.
I don't know. Just that they're proud of me. I mean, definitely my 22-year-old telling her that she's proud of me is, it feels, as a mom, we tell our kids that, right? But to hear that from your kid telling you that is a pretty special thing.
That is. And the last one is, success to me is
having the freedom to be a present mom and also do what you love.
I love it. Thank you so much for rapid fire, Sally. That was amazing. Now we're to the part where we cue to you for final thoughts. I can't believe it. Y'all, it's been 36 minutes. I know it never feels like it. I always tell you, time flies when you're having fun, right?
Yes.
But we're going to cue over to you for final thoughts. We ask our guests to give us something that gives us some great parting words for this space and really something that captures the essence of Sally Bisbee. I'm over to you for final thoughts.
Absolutely. My final thoughts would be put you first. It is it feels selfish, but it's one of the least selfish things that you can do. Find what makes you happy. Get more of that in your life. Simplify your life. My whole thing is about simplifying life, and it really is about getting rid of any unnecessary stuff that you don't need in your life that's bogging you down. Find what makes you happy. Stop waiting for tomorrow. I always tell people, why wait for tomorrow when you can do it today? So start today, make little changes add up big time in the long run. And, the only person in charge of your happiness is you.
I love it. Those are beautiful parting words. Guys, listen, wasn't Sally amazing? Sally Bisbee, beautiful journey. Thanks for depositing in me today. Makes me stay closer and connected, even on the hard days. It's a lot when you're being a mompreneur and juggling and engaging your kids, but you showed a beautiful journey in that, and I'm incredibly proud of you. And thank you for taking the time out to talk to my audience about it. Just we have so many women that are desiring to be in this space, desiring to be in a space where they can have more time with their kids and just don't really see that they can do it. But when we are living representation, we're representatives right here. We're telling you that it can be done. So to everyone that's watching, I want to thank you for being here at the Her Voice Shines podcast. I'll tell you, miraculous things happen when you let your voice shine. I love you so much. There's nothing you can do about it. And I'll be back in another amazing, amazing episode in really no time. Until then, I love you and bye.